The Quran, perfect preservation by God or changed by men? Torpedo 5, scientific and linguistic evidence. Some Muslim apologists claim that radiocarbon dating confirms that the Quran was from the 7th century. But look what happens when 4 different labs date the same manuscript. As we can see, we get dates from AD 390 to 550. Muhammad wasn't born until AD 570. So how can the manuscript of a scripture that was supposedly revealed to him be dated to 180 years before he was even born? This suggests that carbon dating is not useful for dating Quranic manuscripts. Let's look at why. Why carbon dating is not useful for manuscripts. There are several factors that make C14 dating inaccurate for dating manuscripts. Number 1, it only dates the skin, that is when the animal was killed. It cannot date the ink, that is when the manuscript was written. The ink was also a mixture of different compounds from different places made at different times. Number 2, one manuscript may have pages from the skins of different animals killed at different times. Number 3, because the half-life of C14 is about 4,000 years, it dates the skin to within 100 years at best. This means that dates of AD 650, AD 670 or AD 740 are all equally likely. So we just cannot use it for accurate dates within a century. Number 4, the amount of C14 in the atmosphere varies based on geographical location, so measurements must be calibrated against a standard. Different parts of the world use different standards. At present we have standards for America and Japan, but we have no standard for the Middle East. So this explains why we get such wide variations between different labs from samples from the same manuscript. So the bottom line from all of this is that carbon dating is no good for accurately dating manuscripts. Conclusion, Torpedo 5 scores a direct hit. Torpedo 5, linguistic evidence. Was the original Quran not written in Arabic? Scholars are now investigating whether the Arabic Quran we have today developed from earlier non-Arabic sources. There are several reasons for this. Firstly, the Quran has more than 300 words of other languages, especially Aramaic. Next, although the Quran calls itself mubinin or understandable, roughly 1/5 of the Quran is not really comprehensible. Even to Muslim scholars, they call these the dark passages. Thirdly, the Quran refers to other writings that came before it, yet Quranic Arabic did not exist as a complete script until the 8th century. So these pre-existing writings would have been in another language, most likely Aramaic or Syriac. But why would the Arabic preacher of the Arabic Quran refer to writings that were in a completely different language to Arabic? Fourthly, the Quran has poetic passages but no fixed structure or narrative. These passages resemble those of a lectionary or hymnal, similar to the type used in Syriac liturgical churches. And finally, if the Quran was indeed pulled together by Abdul Malik, as the evidence suggests, he most likely would have used existing writings. They would most likely have been in Aramaic, not Arabic. The Aramaic Quran. What scholars are finding? Several scholars have looked at whether the Quran was originally written in Aramaic. Gunter Lulling, in a challenge to Islam for Reformation, applied Aramaic to parts of Quranic poetry and showed that these passages were actually pre-Islamic Christian hymnals. Christoph Luxemburg, in the Syro-Aramaic reading of the Quran, applied multi-layered textual analysis to certain Quranic passages. This included taking off Arabic diacritics, applying Aramaic ones, then retranslating it back. Not only did the passages make more sense, but they were also consistent with Christian liturgy. And Gabriel Sommer, in the Quran Misinterpreted, Mistranslated and Misread, argues that the Quran was originally written in Aramaic, not Arabic. So what does all of this suggest? It suggests that the Quran we have today is based on pre-existing Aramaic writings that were translated into Arabic. And because 7th century Arabic was a defective script, the translation was not completely accurate. This explains why the dark passages of the Quran that make no sense in Arabic actually make much more sense when read in Aramaic. Now please note, this is only a hypothesis, but it is consistent with the evidence. The standard Islamic narrative or sin is not consistent with the evidence. So Torpedo 5 scores a direct hit.